here of what I think is the sensible way forward about how we're going to right this ship for this country. It's not given from the perspective of a Republican or a Democrat. It's given from somebody who's had, a lifetime of executive experience, who tries to diagnose a problem and find a common sense solution forward. I think that, quite frankly, what my party doesn't say enough about is the fact that a quarter of our deficit we can make up if we focus on job creation. I told you the way I think we need to do that. It's addressing the impediments to growth. It's taxes, regulation, healthcare costs, and energy costs. So I'm focusing on that. Then I said what we need to do is roll back to pre-TARP, pre-stimulus levels. Then what I think we need to do, we need to bring to closure our operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. But facts are important. This is going to help, but it's about 150 billion. We got a 1.6 trillion. So Iraq and Afghanistan, for those who say if we just end the wars, we're going to balance the budget. That won't happen, but it will help. But it will help. So we need to bring, let me finish now. I listen to you very carefully. Okay? So we need to bring a closure to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Then I think we need to consolidate the government. The President mentioned himself in the State of the Union address that he's open to that. And I think we need to do that. Our federal government has grown too big over time, and it not only consumes a lot of taxpayer money, but it also steps on, I think, our liberties in ways that are unintended, and I believe we need to stop that. And then finally, we need to address the budget from a comprehensive perspective. It's not just domestic discretionary, it's all of the aspects of the federal government need to be on the table. We need to find a way to live within our means. So now you ask about NPR.
Right.
No, I can't go there first. I need to address, because I got to tell you something. One of my colleagues in the House of Representatives sent a letter out. So then it went to every place across America. And what she said was they hid $105 billion in the public laws. Now, I don't understand how she could say that, right? It was in the bills. I assume she read it before she voted. I knew that money was appropriated. That's why and some people disagree, that's why I voted to defund it. That's why I voted for the King Amendment, 267 to H.R. 1. So when my colleague says, everybody in America, there's a conspiracy going around, I found this money, I don't understand how she could say that. So I wanted to say that, because I thought that was not helpful. Okay, so now let's get to the last point on NPR. Again, my view on this is that our district, the rural affiliates, they benefit from that line in the budget. Now, like every other line in the budget, I think it should be on the table to roll back. I don't think it's good practice in the middle of a fiscal year to say that we're gonna pull that line. And keep in mind, that would not have hurt NPR headquarters. That would have hurt North Country Public Radio. That would have hurt EMC, WMHT. These are stations that provide, I think, a valuable, in my view, we can disagree on this, provide valuable services with regard to education and culture. Now, over time, in a budget, we can talk about reducing the levels of public support, but I think we should communicate to these programs because to come in the middle of fiscal year and to pull it, I think was not good judgment, and I will tell you, in my view, vindictive. And I don't think that's the way we should do business in our country. I don't think that. And I'll tell you, I also think, Richard, I think I'm representing, I got 700,000 people in this district. I certainly have your views, and I understand them very clearly. I represent 700,000 people. I got to get this right. And I got to consider everyone's view here, not just, views that are yours and your brothers and others here too. Again, I think that it should have been on the table. It should have rolled back. But I did not support a precipitous action to zero out that account.
Okay, but what
Maybe
about
not at one time, but how about a stepwise? You can't defund it entirely over a course of, say, 4 years?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that it should have been rolled back to pre-TARP, pre-stimulus level, and then through the committee process. There's more to say about this bill. You know, one of the things that our party said we were going to do is we were going to use the full system in the process, right? We're going to use hearings. We're going to use the committee process. It was going to be allowed to be debated. We did none of that. This was wrong. This was wrong. You've got to trust me when I'm telling you that what my party did here was wrong. They did this, and I'm going to be candid with you. They did it to throw red meat at you. Because you know what? You could call my office in a month. You could call it in 6 months. You could call it in 18 months. And you know what the difference on this bill is going to be? Nothing. Nothing. That bill is going nowhere. And the leadership knew it. They knew it. They did this.
Well, that's my point. That's my point on that. That's my point on that. Now, why should the government choose winners and losers? Okay? You've got radio stations all over the country, and they're not all being funded by the government. The government's choosing to fund certain radio stations. I don't think that's right, personally. Now, you said the bill wasn't going anywhere. If the Senate won't bring up the bills, is the Republican Congress prepared to do things like shut down the government and prepared to use the debt ceiling as a bargaining chip?
Well, look, we'll take it one step at a time. My perception, and I tell you, I travel widely. I go to all the 137 towns. Certainly, as you saw here tonight, there's a wide variety of opinions. But one thing I think that most of the people in our district believe is that they want a limited, functional government. I don't think the people in our district want to shut down the government when we have our men and women over in Iraq and Afghanistan fighting on our behalf. Now, but your question is not easily dismissed, okay? Because in my view, and by the way, you can read, this is Steam book, this is the Federalist Papers, right here. And you can read this too. It's the Constitution of the United States of America. And you can look for anywhere in there where it talks about a government shutdown. I'll save you the time. It's not in there. Okay? It's not in there. But
neither is funding the media.
Well, I mean, we can talk about, well, if you want to have a larger discussion about judicial review and the role of the independent judiciary and how that impacts on constitutionality, we can have that later. But look, I don't think the time, I think what we have to do is we've got to work together in this continuing resolution process to find a way to live within our means. What I'm doing on my behalf, what I'm trying to make this a better country one day at a time with my actions. I've stood here today and explained why it is that I think we need to be fiscally responsible. Why I think we need to rein in spending, okay? I think if we do this all across the country, we're going to be in a better state. When it comes to the debt limit, that's going to be a defining moment. I think that's going to be a defining moment for our country to see where it is that the Senate is, where the President is, because we have got to have fundamental change. Because if we don't, here's the thing, whether you're Democrat or Republican, we run the risk of losing our country and going bankrupt. And if that happens, then life as we knew it here in America will fundamentally change. And if you think it can happen, then look at the Roman Empire. Right. And look at other countries that have come before us. So, we're going to take this one day at a time, and I pledge to you I'm going to do my very best to represent this district in every vote and every action I take.
And you do. Thank you.
Thank you.